Hi everyone, I'm John. Beside me as always is Joe.
How's everybody doing? Happy to be back for another episode.
Yeah, that we are, and this is going to be a good one.
Here on Sports Revolution, we're going to be talking about this Sunday's matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Another great NFC matchup. If you would like to see the other NFC matchup in our previous episode, just click on our homepage, subscribe, like. But how do you feel about this game this Sunday between these two teams?
I feel like the NFC got all the good games.
I think they did too. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
I'm excited for this one because Seattle really came alive the latter half of the season. Russell Wilson ended up establishing career numbers. He had the best season of his young career. And Cam Newton had the same sort of season. He had an even better season. Not only was he a ground threat, he was a viable passing threat.
He actually had 45 touchdowns on the season, 35 passing, and 10 he ran in himself.
Yeah,
This is the hybrid type of player, like I mentioned in the previous episode, that you want to have, but Carolina's got one on a quarterback, and that's not a bad thing at all.
No. So Carolina and Seattle already faced off against each other earlier this year. They were really the first team to come close to beating Carolina, and it was a pretty close game. Fiercely battled. Great defenses on both sides. They both ended up scoring over 20 points. Do you think we're going to end up seeing a repeat of that this weekend?
Honestly, I think this weekend might. I still believe it's going to be a good battle between two teams, but I think it's going to be a little different. I think if I want to count luck as a strength for the Seahawks, that's kind of what's been on their side lately, especially last weekend against Minnesota, which that was kind of an ugly finish.
Yeah, by all means, Minnesota should have walked away with that game in the bag.
They should have walked away with it, but what happened was Seattle kind of messed up themselves. Like Cam Chancellor, the safety, gave up a really critical pass interference, which led up to that field goal. And if he hit that field goal, then Seattle would be hating Cam Chancellor right now.
Yeah, and Blair Walsh has been pretty consistent this year. Yeah,
and he misses this one at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
And also playing in a football atmosphere where the actual temperature was -3 degrees.
Yeah, I think that ended up impacting Russell Wilson considerably.
I would never be able to play in -3 degrees at all. I would freeze my tail off.
Not to mention the impact that has on the ball as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the PSI level's going down quite a bit of ways, but we're not going to talk about PSIs at all whatsoever. But going to Carolina though, this is a really important game for them. They've played in several other big games in their past, like when they've been very, very good, like in the Super Bowl against the Patriots like a decade ago. But this is a critical game because now the expectations are really high on them. Their offense scored a league-high 500-plus points. And Carolina said, of course, this is a franchise record for Seattle. 15-1 came very close to having a perfect season.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really not even a weakness to point out with Carolina at this stage. Their defense is great. Their offense is way up to speed. They have all their weapons. Have not sustained really any major injuries.
No, I think Carolina surprised a lot of people this year. The fact that their defense was as stout as it turned out to be. And their offense, Cam Newton came alive. I don't know if I think people expected him to maybe take a step forward, but I don't think they expected this quantum leap out of him.
This small step turned into a giant leap for Cam Newton, absolutely. The next part of our segment is to talk about who are going to be the key players heading into this game. And Carolina, in my opinion, it's really hard to pick because Cam Newton's leading that offense and Luke Kuechly is leading the defense. But I think if I had to pick one, it's going to be what got them here in the first place is their offense, and that's going to be in the hands of Cam Newton. Like I said, he had 45 touchdowns on the season, 35 passing, 10 rushing. I expect him to do a lot more of the same this Sunday against the Seahawks. And for the Seahawks, they can't make any mistakes against this offense at all. And that includes what happened last week with that pass interference penalty called on Cam Chancellor. So I'm going from one Cam to another. So Cam Chancellor is going to be my key player for the Seahawks. He's going to have to be on full alert, making sure his secondary is right where they need to be, and really defending that strength offense that Carolina has.
Those are good picks. And my picks are a little bit different. So for Carolina, I'm going with Greg Olsen, their tight end.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm going with him is because he had a stellar game against Seattle earlier this year. He went for over 100 yards. He ended up catching a receiving touchdown. Seattle, for all their defensive prowess, actually ranked in the bottom of the league in terms of defending tight ends. So I think Greg Olsen could capitalize on that and have a good game.
That's good, exploiting that weakness. I'm sure Carolina's got that in their game plan.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've been working on it in practice all week.
Oh, I'm sure. They've got a smart team assembled.
They do.
Seattle's a little bit different. I think it may come down to Russell Wilson. All indications are that right now, Marshawn Lynch is questionable to return. I think if he does return, he obviously adds another dimension to the offense. But if he doesn't end up playing, I think it's all going to fall on Russell Wilson.
Which very well could happen, because that's what ended up happening in the Minnesota game. Marshawn Lynch didn't even make the team flight to Minnesota, so you know that's bad news before they even land in that frigid city, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And they squeaked away with a win just on luck. That's without Marshawn Lynch, but luck's not going to play a role in this game.
No.
It's going to be all how Carolina plays and how Seattle responds to it.
It'll be a different sort of climate, so it'll be interesting to see how Russell Wilson fares because, like I said earlier in the episode, Russell Wilson had a great latter half of the year. If that version of Russell Wilson shows up, Seattle has a pretty good chance to remain competitive with Carolina. And we'll see, because both defenses did struggle at times throughout the year. I'm guessing this is probably going to either be a close, low-scoring game or a back-and-forth, high-scoring game.
Okay. So with that in mind, we can lead right into the scores. I think right now, I know all of my family in the Carolinas are screaming for me to favor the Panthers at this stage, and I am going to listen to them, and this is my gut instinct too, just FYI. I am going to go with Carolina in this game, but I think I'm going to go with the score of 27-14 because I think Carolina's got enough confidence to shut down Russell Wilson.
I think that's a good prediction. I'm also going to say that Carolina's going to emerge the victors. I think Seattle will try and remain competitive, but I think Carolina's just going to be too much. They'll end up overwhelming them. Plus, we go back to last year's playoff meeting between these two. Seattle obviously ended up beating them because they went on to the Super Bowl. This Carolina team is much different. So I think Carolina's going to win, and I'm going to say they win by a final score of 28-21.
All right, that is a very fair assessment, and that right there, our predictions on this episode and our predictions on the NFC episode could set the table for a possible NFC Championship matchup. Let us know in the comments in both videos if you guys agree or disagree, and we'd love to hear all your opinions. And with that in mind, for Jon, I'm Joe for Sports Revolution. In our next video, we will be discussing the last but not least AFC Divisional Round between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos. We will see you next time.
Take care.